Hey sellers, welcome back to another Chapter S tutorial. This time we're going to be looking at enemy actions. Now, I was going to bore you to death with a bunch of charts and explanations, but I figured the best way would probably just to see actual gameplay footage. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be continuing on with our block party mission, and we're going to play through the Russian and the German turns. Do that for 2 or 3 turns, you'll get the idea, I think. And we're going to give the Russians a random event every turn just to show you what possible outlays you can get. All right, before we get involved in the mission, let's just have a look at the mission card one more time. Now, I already went over this, but just to hammer it home, and the layout for all missions are the same. You start off with the sit rep, which gives you a reason for what you're doing. We have our prevailing attitude. In this scenario, the Russians are the enemy and they're going to be on hold. And then we have our mission parameters, which we've all rolled for. I'll show you those in a second. Now it comes to a city column of table A9, and we managed to roll board number 1, orientated so that north is to the top, which makes this side the friendly and the east side the enemy. So just remember, per SAL per solitaire rules, that friendly side is always on the west and the enemy board edge is always in the east. Now we have no victory point objectives in this mission. However, we are directed to see MSR2. MSR2 gives us an exception to 925, which is S925, and it's on enemy units and VPO locations. Because we have no VPO locations, we must give the enemy something to direct themselves towards. In this case, they're going to be considering the nearest friendly controlled building as a VPO for enemy move commands. So when it comes to the move command actions, they're going to be directed towards a friendly controlled building, which of course will help them to let you deny getting your city blocks. And very important thing for this, of course, is the end game turn is 8. And on a 1 or a 2, every turn thereafter, we roll a 1 or 2. It's end of mission. Which brings us to the VP schedule. Now, enemy gets victory points for any casualty VP earned. Friendly side does not. Enemy gets a number of pre-game VP equal to whatever you roll for reinforcements. In our case, it's a 2. And they also get another 3 VP for MSR4, which lets me choose either OBA or self-propelled gun, which is the section I chose, primarily because OBA is difficult in the city, depending on caliber. I have to have lines of sight. By the time I get my spotting round in target, ready to flip to FFE, my ground units will probably have already advanced into that hex because I have 8 turns during which I have to start overcoming a lot of enemy VP. So that's why I chose the self-propelled gun, and I was really lucky. I rolled 3. I also picked up a 10-2 armor leader. So this really is going to work out to my benefit. However, the enemy will get 3 VP. The only way the friendly side gets victory points is for each city block devoid of all unbroken opposing non-SMC units. And this is at mission end. So what does that entail for a city block? In essence, the city block is any block of buildings surrounded by roads or board edge. So this would be one. This would be one. There's a total of 18. The only 2 areas that are not are this one, because it only has the 1 rubble, and this one because it only has the 2 building locations. So you need to have 3 or more building locations to count as a city block surrounded by roads or map edge or, water obstacles, that kind of thing. So there's 18 potential blocks I can get for a maximum of times 3. And the enemy already has, in this case, 6 because 5 for pregame. And they picked up 1 because, if you remember from my last video, there's a 50 cal in this location right here, and it totally evaporated a half squad that was sitting in B5. That's why they're sitting at 6 CVP. So let's look at the parameters then. So again, ELR is based off design your own Chapter H. They have a SAN of 3. Russians have a 4, which I rolled for on the table. We have no wind at start, very dry EC, and we had a flame generated from our bombardment, which is MSR5. We'll cover that in a second. It did not spark into a blaze in the German turn 1. So then let's look at MSR 5, this section right here. This is essentially directions for conducting a bombardment. So you make a roll if it's a 5 or a 6, so then the city is considered devastated, which means you do a bombardment. The exception, of course, is if you're in a campaign game and the previous mission was also a built-up city, then it's automatically devastated. So this is, in a typical face-to-face ASL game, you would set up the defenses first, then conduct the bombardment. In this case, you do the bombardment prior to any suspects being set up. And then lastly, MSR number 6, each enemy fully tracked AFV that is activated from table A1 in a building or rubble location is considered dug in. So the bow-mounted machine gun's obviously disabled, and we're going to use the armored cupola for that to represent that if we ever get anything like that. Now, one thing we're going to do for this mission as well, contrary to normal, is we're going to assign the Russians a random event for every one of their turns. We're not going to depend upon the dice to give us one. We're going to give them one every turn. So let's start off with a wind change die roll for the Russian turn 1. All right, so we have an 8. That is no wind. And if we look at our parameters, again, typically we do not meet requirements for an enemy RE, but we're just going to ignore that, and we're going to give them one every time anyways. All right, so we have a random event. Let's roll this. Again, with random events, we treat the colored die as 10s, and the white die is always 1s. So just ignore the allied sniper for now, it doesn't apply. And because the mission specifies it, we also have a -1 to the colored die roll of A11, as well as the G9. So again, the X is just a placeholder for the nationality. It's table X9 on whatever nationality card that you're using. So we have a -1, which brings us down to a 21. So if we look at our action tables, under enemy actions and, enemy REs, we're looking for a 21. 21 is enemy recon plane flies overhead during his enemy rally phase. The recon plane will attempt a sighting task check versus friendly unit in the location with the lowest total sighting task check die roll. If the recon passes it, increase the enemy RE by 1. If it fails, no further effect takes place. Anti-air is not allowed versus the recon plane. So this is a weird one. I don't think I've ever seen this one in effect, so that's going to be really good. So we have an enemy plane overhead. Now we got to find out the best sighting task check. All right, so we have our sighting task checks here. And again, we look at our modifiers. So we want targets vehicular as a -1. Nothing else applies. We don't want the troops in buildings because they it would be +3. So right now it looks like we only have the targets vehicular. So this one here would be -1. And there is a friendly unit within 4 would be +1, so they would cancel out. So it's going to be an 8 morale check for a normal sighting task check. That's what planes have. So we'll just do a sighting task check, and it's a 9. So in this case, again, as per the direction from the random event, if the recon plane fails its sighting task check, no further effect takes place. So that was a really cool random event. I've never seen that one before. So, all right, so we have the random event out of the way. Now we can do the rally phase proper. Once again, I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past, but every rally phase that you're allowed to do a self-rally, the enemy force always gets 2. Typically, you're not going to generate a lot of leaders, and therefore the enemy is granted a bonus. They can attempt self-rally on any 2 units. Now, if there's multiple broken units, typically you pick the 2 that have the best chances of making it. If you have one way in the back, you may want to ignore that one and pick your 2 closest to the front. Again, that's changing the rules for the betterment of the enemy, which is always allowed. Anytime you roll actions or fire commands, etc., for an enemy force, you should always weigh it whether or not it's actually in that unit's best interest to do it. If you think it's not, then it's perfectly valid to choose a different course of action. Remember that the AI rather limits the enemy's choices, and depending on what you roll, you might get some result that is atypical and then just doesn't make sense. For example, if you get a roll random at start and just head off in that direction until you run into something, that may not play into tactic-wise a good decision. So don't be afraid to overrule the dice and the rules for the betterment of the enemy. Obviously, it's not for your own friendly forces. It's got to be with the enemy force in mind. They basically need all the help that they can get. All right, so we have a self-rally attempt, which means he's going to need a 3. Almost, not too bad. And then we look at our German units. Do we have any German units? No. I have to decide, do I want to deploy more half squads? Since I lost one of my 2 scouts, I may want to deploy this one, which I think I'm going to do. Gives me 3 half squad scouts now I can use to try and bust some concealment. All right, so that is going to be it for the rally phase. Let me go to the prep fire phase now. As I've already said, you start from the north and you work your way south, hex row by hex row, rolling for activation. So in this case, we only have 2. So this guy here first, we see what he does. All right, we rolled a panic result. Now, any doubles has a chance of panic, again, depending on the nationality. So if you're elite, it's a 10 or a 12. If you're first line, which this one is, it's a 6, 8, 10, 12 for panic. So that kind of sucks for the first roll for the Russians. All right, so let's mark him with a panic because right now, I remember panic is treated like TI, very much so. You're not allowed to move, you cannot fire, and the only thing you can do is final protective fire as a form of defensive first fire against any adjacent unit or inside the hex. So you're basically helpless here when you would have had a nice juicy 8 up something attack in this location. So the first result being a panic is not good. Now we do for the 9-2 because he's next in sequence. And we give him an action. This time we rolled a 4. Now, once more looking at the tables, a 4 with a hold attitude is typically a move. So in this case, an immobile armed vehicle fires if it has a target. Otherwise, it does nothing. So that's for vehicles. So again, we fit this parameter. Otherwise, it does nothing, which is ridiculous. We have targets. Why would we not fire? So I'm going to overrule the move command that I was given, and I'm going to fire instead. Now I'll roll an action to see what my targets are. So you roll a die. In this case, it's a 10. We look at our attack table. So we haven't really gone through these yet, but if you look, depending what is shooting determines which table you use. So this is for enemy IFT versus infantry. This is infantry with light tanks versus vehicles, ordnance versus vehicles, and ordnance versus infantry. And then, of course, you have 3 tabs for movement. One's hold, one advance, and the other one is for vehicles. Typically, vehicles will always be given a move command. However, sometimes, depending, you might have ordnance attacks versus infantry. Again, you roll randomly on one of these tables that applies to the situation, and you do that act accordingly. So we rolled a 10. 10 is fire inherent firepower at closest known target. So we have 1 target that's within 2, and everything else is within 3. So we're forced to fire because of this onto this location, which is perfectly acceptable because you have 3 squads with a light machine gun. So it's a very valid target. Now let's look at that. If, for example, this unit was not here and we only had these units here that were 3 hexes away, we would go to the next bullet, which is most known targets. So in this case, it would be the 8-0. Or at least TEM. We could have the woods. We can maybe have +1 for the vehicle. This would be a +2 building. You see what I'm saying? It's a hierarchical list. If you don't meet the parameters for the first note, you go to the second, you go to the third, and so on until you've exhausted all priorities. At the end of the day, however, you will have to pick some kind of action for it that makes sense, again, in the best interest of the unit. So this time we're going to fire 12 firepower flat against these units in a wood building. All right, so 12 flat, and we've got a 6, so I got a rate on my 50 cal, and we have an 8 on the 12. It should be a 1-check. NMC. No, wait, that's 6 flat. 6 flat on the 8 is a 1-check. All right, so we have a 1-check for these guys. 1, 2, 3. So the bottom one is fine. The top two are just broken. They're not exceeded ELR. And we have a Russian sniper. Sniper is not hot. All right, so we fired once. We do have rate, so we can fire that again. So this time it'll be on the 8 table flat. And a 7 on the 8 is going to be another 1-check. So this 7 here is a half squad. The 7 here is a half squad. And this one here is broken. All right, and they get 2 VP for that. Now, again, I rolled a 6 on the IFT, so that means it's not going to be able to fire again, so I'm done for there. That's not too bad. It broke 3 squads, and I reduced 2 of them. All in all, a good day's shooting. Now, the Russians are out of prep fire actions, and because they've all fired, we go right to defensive fire phase. Now it's a German turn to retaliate. We'll start with the 9-1 command die roll. Right, so he's a 9, so he's in command. Now, I probably could have waited till my German turn to break these 2 into half squads, but too late for that to go back. You can't go back once you do something. So he's not going to fire. Well, we could fire at you. Actually, yeah, that's done. We will fire at him. So that's going to be a total of 12 plus 6, 18. So on the 16 table, up 2 in this location. 16 up 2. Woof. 12 on the 16. I don't think it's going to be anything. Yeah. Woof. All right, so you're finaled. Now, because that 9-1 made his command roll, anything within 2 will also make it. So this stack here, and these guys, if they were not broken, and this guy right here, too. So I'm going to fire 24 firepower with my kill stack plus 2. 24 up 2. So we have a 9 on the 24. Gives us a 2-check. All right, so that's definitely exceeded morale. So they're going to be ELR'd and broken. And the panic will then come off. Now my IFT color die roll is a 4, so it's no rate of fire. So those guys are final fired as well. All right, these units here need to make their own command die roll. So 3 of them going top down, 1, 2, 3, and only the bottom guy passes, so he's going to assemble his mortar while the other 2 are panicked. All right, so now I could still fire this guy, but there's probably not much point. I do have to suppress this because this thing is really killing me here. You cannot fire, you can. Again, when it comes to command die rolls, just remember that once you make a command die roll, you must do something with one of those units prior to making another command die roll. So in this case, this stack here fired, and then I'm free to do any other actions. But you must do something after that command die roll before you make another one. So we're going to fire this tank here. So let's get a command die roll for him. All right, 12 always panics. So he's not in good order, which also means that he loses his acquisition. All right, well, that sucked. All right, let's try this tank down here now. Random.org for all your dicing needs. Yeah, okay. Well, at least I didn't break any guns. So now this 8-0 needs a command die roll. And luckily, leaders hit a +1, so he actually just makes it. It's a squeaker, but he made it. So we're going to fire for 8, 12 firepower plus 3 onto this location. So it's going to be no effect. Right, and that's going to be it for defensive fire. So let me go to advancing fire. There's first things first, we got to see if this burns. All right, so we finally add 2 for EC, so we have a blaze in this location. Now we're going to start spreading flame, so we got to make sure our suspects have a means of getting away. Remember that if they're caught in a flame, so when this spreads to the ground floor of these locations, then that will activate these two, and then they're going to have to start moving. So we might have a good chance of eliminating or at least burning this building down, depending on how bad it goes. And again, once wind's into play, we'll have to have smoke as well. All right, so that's going to be it for advancing fire because they're all done. Now we go to the route phase. All right, so we have you here. Now, if we route back to here, that would be 2, 4, and then I can go up 1 to the second level. That way they're forced to chase me and eradicate me, so I'll get rid of that for now. Let's get rid of the preps and the residual and defensive. All right, so that's it for route. I have you guys. Now I could route back into the woods, but I'm just going to stay where I am. We have 2 squad equivalents, eh? So if I were to run back to here, that would be 1. That would be 3 would be 4, and the next one would be 5. 6. So I could run back into here and overstack, which I think I'm going to do. So the first unit would be 1, 4. The second half squad would be 1, 5. And the last half squad would be 1, 6. So I do have enough move to get into there, but I'm severely overstacked. If something crops up all of a sudden, I am pooched. But that's the way it goes, right? All right, so Russian advance phase. Now, I have a choice to make with these guys here. I do have... Oh, wait, that's gone too, because you're not in good order. I do have choices. I was thinking of moving this guy back to the rubble, gets him out of the line of fire from all this. There's no guarantee these are going to panic next turn, which means they're going to be blasting with their 75s. I'm thinking of moving back into the rubble. The problem with that is because I got a 5 portage point weapon, that lowers their movement down to 2. With the leader, that'll offset it by 1, so they're only going to have 3 move, which is going to make him CX when I'm here. Now, the benefit to being CX is I'm going to have a nice shot on these pioneers. I will not be in range of any of their guns. So I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to come back here. I will be CX'd. But I'm out of the line of fire from these guns. Now, they will not be able to get concealment at the end of the turn because that unit's in sight. So let's go to close combat, and then we'll be into the German turn 2. Right, we get rid of the pins, gets rid of all the panics and such. Let's do a wind change die roll. So this is for the Germans. So once more, if I had rolled a 3 or a 4, the friendly side would get a random event. Now we have no wind change, so we have to do rallies. We only have these broken units here, I believe. Yes, so we need 7, 8, down 4 would be 4s for these two. 1, 2, heat of battle. And then we need a 5 for him. No. All right, so what did he get for heat of battle? Whoop, 9, so he's gone Bazilic. Is he? Ignore this 11 here. I pressed it too quickly. So that's a 9. Now he's broken is going to be a +1. That's the only thing that applies. So it's actually a 10. So yeah, he is Berserk because this unit is in sight. Okay. All righty then. And of course, the Russian will not be able to rally because it's the German turn. Okay, that'll work. All right, so let's go to prep fire. Do I want to break anything up? No, I don't. That attack kind of broke me up. I may actually want to assemble now that I have 2 half squads. So I'm going to do that actually in the rally phase. We're going to go back to a full squad. All right, so let's go to prep fire. Now, I could fire these guys, but they would be at long range. And I do want to move them, get them out of the... how am I going to move them? If I move to here, I would not be shot at. But I'm going to be activating everything here. If I move you as an armored assault to F7, that would activate you. 1, 2, 3, 4 would activate you two because if you're within 4 hexes and the IFT modifier of 0, which with armored assault you would be, you would have a chance of activating these two. The reason why I would do that is it saves me having to risk these guys. The problem is if I move into this wooden building, that's a 9-2. So he's going to be hitting me with a 12 firepower up 1. And I've already got a flamethrower, so I probably don't want to do that. If I move this unit to F7, however, it gives him a closer target. He'll almost be forced to fire on that so that I can maneuver around here depending on what activates up here. Which I think I want to do. I really don't want to risk it for that. On the other hand, they do have smoke grenades. I could pop smoke on E8 and go to E7 that way. All right, so we're at prep fire anyways. Now I've got a Berserk unit here, which is going to be charging. So he's going to be exempt from a command control, but let's roll the 9-1 first. All right, so he's in command, barely, but he is. He would needed a 10 or less to pass. So that means anybody within 2 is there as well, is in command as well. So I'm going to be moving the infantry that are good order here. He's going to charge. I could fire at this unit here, but it's only broken. That would be kind of a waste. So I may want to move instead. So let's put a move command on you. Let's put a move command on you. And then we will put a move on you as well. All right, so that's that side. Now we have to worry about this side here. Because I don't have any targets, I'm just going to go right to the movement phase. Actually, we'll have to do these. Let me do these 2 command die rolls quickly. 1, 2. So 1 does again. So you can assemble. You're going to be panicked. And the other one that was assembled will be panicked as well. So my mortars are going to be ineffective, primarily. They're only 50 mortars anyways, and it is urban built-up areas, so I really don't see any use for them until I get into the woods or the wooden buildings. All right, so let's continue on. So we have... Yeah, I've got no fire command, so we're going to go right to the move. So this 8-0. Before we do that, let's move these guys. So you here first. You're going to go 1. You're going to go 2. Now that's probably going to activate this unit here. There are 9 hexes. So yes, we can see, because we're on a level 2, it's well past the woods. However, we're outside the normal activation range, which for Russians is 8 with a -2. So this is a candidate for long-range activation. I made a mistake when I was talking about that in my last video. The long-range activation parameters are you must have a -2 IFT, you must be infantry, and you have to be between this range, whatever that is for the nationality, and 16. So, for example, Germans have a 12 hex with a -2, so they have to be a 13 or 16 hex range away. For Russians, because it's an 8, they need to be 9 to 16 away. So it's long range activation potential, just like these guys, which never should have happened, because I made that mistake. So let's see what this one is. No. So that's very lucky. I could have had another heavy machine gun in this location. And because it's a long range activation, it does not remove this concealment. So we're at 2 move. Let's go for 4, which will activate you now. All right, we have a 6. A 6 is always a dummy. To look at our parameters for activation, once more we have really, because there's no VPO, we can ignore that. There are these 3 -1s right here and the +2. Those are the only ones that are going to apply. So that's a dummy. That's 4. Now I could do a late CX and go to G2, but I think I want to secure this building, so I'm going to stay there. And then in my next prep fire, I can mop up and control that building. Although I think I control it now anyways. I'm really not sure on that one, to be honest. All right, so then we have you guys. You're going to move as a stack. I could dash into F1. Yeah, let's send you. You're going to dash into F3. So through E3 to F3. This will give you a +2, which means you guys now have a target. So they need a command die roll to see if they panic. And they panicked. Yes. All right, so that saved my bacon. Just remember that units panic when it's doubles, depending on your quality. So if we look at the Sassel overlay for enemy actions, again, elites always panic on a 10 or 12, first line 6, 8, 10, 12, etc. So because they're elites, they needed a 10 or more. I roll a 10, so they are, in fact, panicked, which kind of saves my bacon. Now, they are pretty well helpless because they will only attack something adjacent. All right, I feel so much better. If I can get a unit into close combat with them, would it be even better? CX'd and panicked. Oh, yeah. All right, so we have other moves. Now, you guys dashed into there. 1, 2. That would be... Probably, I would probably roll for act 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that would be a -2. So this would be a activation. Modifiers would be -1 for stone, -2 for being on the upper level for a net -3, with a +2 city is a net -1, which means on a 4 or less, this unit will be active with a down 2 shot. If I bypass well, I can just move in. What am I even doing? Because you guys panicked. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do I want to do that? If I move into here without using assault, that will be a +2, which means you 2 would have a chance of activating. You guys would be too far away. It would be a +2, but there's a real chance I could light up more than I could choose. So what if I CX you? What if I CX the 467 and the LMG to come to G4? That would activate U2, and then I could decide whether or not to follow up with the other one. So let's do that. So we're going to CX those guys. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into this location. And now we'll roll for activation. So again, modifiers here. We have stone, we have a level 1 building, and we have a friendly unit within 2 hexes of the same building. So it will be a net -3 with a +2 city board is a -1. So we need a 4 or less for activation. So we got a 1. A 1 will always activate. So what do we get? We have a 4 and we add +1 because of our modifiers, which means we have a 5. So we have a squad, a leader, and a support weapon at the top. Squad first, so we are 3, which is going to really suck. Right, so we look at squad, a 3 plus 2 for the year is a 5. It means we have a 6 to 8. All right, and leader is a 5 plus 1 for being elite. -1 for being elite, +1 for year cancels. So we have a 5, which is an A1, and a chance of being a commissar on a 1 or a 2. So we have a 10-0 commissar with a 6 to 8. Well, and then we have a support weapon, which is a 10. A 10 and 41 gets us an ATR. Yeah. Okay, well. So he's going to be firing on the 6 table with a +2. 6 up 2, and we have an 8 on the 6 will be a pinning task check. So task check for you. You're good, but you hit the allied sniper. Allied sniper is a 6. All right, so we have first fire for you. We have 2 residual in this location. These guys are now desperate, and I'm now free to move you. So where do I want to move you? Into E4? Yes. So you guys are going to move dash into E4. Now, because this unit's closer, they cannot final fire. And because this unit's panked, they cannot shoot either. So you guys are going to stay there. And then I'm going to send in my fire base to this location as well, which will leave me you. Oh, I forgot to move my berserk unit. First thing that should have happened is my berserk unit should have moved. All right, let's move that back. Let's move those guys back. Let's move that back. All right, so first things first is we have a berserk unit. Now, the only thing he has in sight is this broken unit here. So that's going to be his target. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, which will activate him because, again, it'll be 8 hexes with a -2. So parameters are going to be -2 for level, -3 for stone, +2 for cities, and -1. So that 4 is going to be a 3, which means he's going to activate as a 8 + 1 will give us a 9, which is a squad. Squad type will be another frickin' 6 to 8. On the plus side, it's too far away. So we've activated a 6 to 8. We're going to conceal him because he cannot fire. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to enter the building. 6 to the first, 7 up to here. So that's one way to clear that building, I guess. Actually, he would be targeting this unit because once he entered that hex, once he entered this hex, this unit would now be closer. So he would actually charge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. So this would be 8 move into this hex, which will be a net +1, which means you, and you are all within 3 hexes, so you can all activate. So let's do you first. You have the best chance. So again, you're stone, 2nd level, and with a +2. So you're going to have a net -1 onto this. So 6 again is always a dummy. So now we look at our next best candidate. That's you again with a -1. You would have a -2 because there's a friendly unit within 2. So 5 down 2 is a 3, so you're going to be activated. Activated at, oh, wrong one. Activated as a 10 plus 1 is 11. Going to get us 2 squads. Remember, Russians don't deploy. So 2 squads. 1, 2. We have modified 6 and a 5. Now, a 6 and a 5 will get us a 447 and a 628. One, two, three hexes away, so you're going to defensive first fire with a net 6 table up 1. So 7 on the 6 is an NMC, which they make. They're not immune to pin, so they're good. I could final fire you for 2 up 1. That'll be no joy. Right, so you final fired and you first fired. Now, because there's still good order, we have to keep activating. So this will be next in sequence. Again, we're a -1. 2 for the stone building, 3 for having a friendly unit, plus 2 is a -1 net. So 1 is always active. So what do we get? We have a 9. 9 is going to be a squad. Squad's going to be a 447. All right, he will fire on the 4 table up 1. That'll be a 10, so that's no joy. He could final fire on the 2 up 1. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. So next we have this unit here. We have a 4. Look at our parameters. We have stone for -1. We have a friendly unit for -2, and it's a city board +2, which means it's a net 4, and therefore it's going to be non-active. So then we do our last 2, this one here. You can toss up between these 2, it doesn't matter. They both have the same kind of results. It'll be a -1 for stone, 2 for friendly unit, and a +2 cancels out, so I need a 3 or less. So for this guy here, he's activated. He gets a, oof, that could hurt. So here we have the table. Let's use that. So that'll be a 5. 5 gets a squad leader and support weapon. Squad, this +2 is a 9. I think it's a 527. Yeah, 527. So we have a 527. We have a leader, which is an 11. That's going to be nothing. Oh, 6 plus 1. And the year is 41 as well. So yeah, it's a 6 plus 1. So we have a 527. We have a 6 up 1. And we have a support weapon, maybe a 7, I believe, is nothing. 7 is no result, so no support weapon for you. And we have 2 firepower up 2 for your leader. 2 up 2, so that's going to be no result. And finally, we have this guy here. Derp. All right. What's it doing? Activating him. All right. So we need, again, with a flat, we need a, okay, that's not it. That's a 6. So our little berserk unit clearing off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 suspect counters, only activating this. That's not too bad for a berserk unit. All right. So they've all fired. Now you've first fired. You could subsequent final fire, and that would be on the 2 table up 1. So again, no result. Now, do we have any other within 3 that could activate? No, you're range 4, 6. All right, so we're done for activations. We're done with this unit. Now we can carry on with the rest of our movement phase. All right, now these guys are going to move to E1. You guys are going to move there. You're going to come into E4. That guy's going to move into that location if he wasn't already there. I forget where he was, to be honest. And then my fire base is going to move forward and take up residence with the 9-1 so I can deal with this. That gives me my 8-1 there so that he can deal with whatever's there. All right, so you guys have panicked. Now I have to get into that location. You have a very good chance of making it. So if I go, first of all, do I want to engage in melee? 1, 2, 3, 4 upstairs for 5. So you would have to CX. You would have enough move, but it would be a 5 to 5 1-to-1 ratio. Although I do have a good chance of getting ambush because you'd be at a -3 for ambush. +3 for ambush. +2 for ambush, my bad. And you would be at a 0 for ambush. Or I can just move upstairs and blast. Well, I'm going to move upstairs anyway, so let's do that. All right, so you're going to clone. You guys are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 into the building and upstairs for 5. That means you guys are going to final protective fire. So that would be on the 12, 24. Half would be 12 flat. 12 flat onto the, oh, +1 for being CX'd. 12 up 1 on this location. This could suck. Yes. All right, so I broke that. And because it's final protective fire, they're broken as well as being ELR'd. You're broken as well. You're actually ELR'd as well, too. Oh, you're casualty reduction. What am I doing? Casualty reduction. So you're ELR'd. You're casualty reduced. And you are a wound die roll away from dying, so you're wounded. You're ELR'd. You're wounded. And broken. So CX is gone. You guys are broken as well. Wow. And the panic's gone too. Holy shit, did that work out. Alrighty. Alrighty then. Now that was net +2, so you would not activate too far away. You guys could not see because of that location. So let's continue. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I completely forgot command die rolls. So this 9-1 just panicked. Which means the 8-0 made his 4-7, so I should have done that. I very easily could have bipped the whole thing, so you're panicked. Yeah, you guys are in command as well, so you guys are going to move. I think I may have messed that up. Let's roll for you for command die roll. All right, so you're panicked. The 4-6-7 can still move, but the tank is panicked. Now, if I move you, where do I want to move you to? E7? Bust that. That would be a -2. Why assault move into E7? That would be a -1, which would activate you and nothing else because it's too far away. Maybe you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, too far. So you're going to assault move into E7. Do I want to do that? No, I want to dash. Yeah, you're going to dash into here through E7. So that's going to activate this one potentially. We're looking at a 6, and that's a dummy. Yeah, I think I messed up the command. I don't think that should have happened that way. All right, so we're going to move you guys. So that would be bypass 1, 2, 3. You'll keep your concealment, I think. Yep, because of the building. Yep. All right, so you're good. Now we need to move you. Where do I want to move you to? F4? The BIP you? I think I do. Command. You're going to command, so you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Pivot for 5. Stop. Now you. You're panicked. All right, so how's that looking? That's it for move. Let's go to defensive fire. Do we have any defensive fire left? You're broken, so you can't. You guys are not adjacent anymore, so you guys can't. Or I mean, not within range anymore. All right, let's do advancing fire. So first things first, we got to spread some blazes. So because we are attached, we only need 9s in these 3 locations here. So we'll start here in the ground, the one beside it, and the other one. So no flames have been spread in the process of this blaze. And we are into advancing fire. All right, so I do have advancing fire. Let's start with you first. So tripled and halved would be on the 2 table up 2. So it would be a 7 on the 2, which I don't think is anything. Missed it by 1. You guys, 4, 8, 12 halved would be 6 up 2 to here. Nothing. You guys would be on the 4 table up 3. Yeah, you couldn't see that because you're blocked. So on the 4 up 3 to here. Probably should not do this. It's going to be an 8 on the 4 is nothing. And then we have a tank. You can't really hit. But you can acquire. All right, I think that's it. No, we got you guys. So that would be 7. So on the 6 table, up 3 into this location. 6 up 3. It's going to be a 9 on the 6, which again is nothing. Oh, I never moved you guys. That's fine. Too late. Let's say I missed my opportunity. You guys just can hang out with your panic leader. All right, then we're into route phase. Do I have any friendly routes? Well, I don't have any friendly routes, but I'm going to have to capture these ones, which means I'm berserk, which means I can't capture them. Which means I'm going to no quarter them, which means we have no quarter in effect. No quarters in effect. Damn. That means I can't do any mopping up actions. All right, that's going to be it for the move. No close combat because they ran away. And no quarter is now in effect because of the Bezoik unit. So we're going to be in the Russian turn. All right, so we're going to give them a random event. Let's do wind change on the off chance. And we don't need to give them one because they got one. Remember their REs are 4 and 5. I just rolled a 4. So first of all, there's no wind. Secondly, we just rolled a random event. So what do they get? Remember, there's a -1 on the 10, so this will be a 24. 24 gets us a enemy AFV. So we have a number A6A, which could be 4, 3, or 2, depending on the die roll. We have a 3, which gets us three enemy tanks just showed up. All right, type on table number 6, which for the Russians is an 8. So we have 8 on the standard. For 41 would be a BT7 M37. So they're all the same. All right, so they get 3 of those. Now we have to roll for an armor leader. And we have a 7. 7 on the Russian armor leader table will be nothing. So they do not have an armor leader. They are radialist, so they're all going to have to move in as a platoon. So we're going to start them off on the road. Put them all in motion too. So that's going to be the random event that they got. Legitimately, we did not have to give them one. All right, so now let's do the other rally phase. Remember that Russians have 2 self-rallies in this case because they're the enemy. And now we only have to worry about one, this guy right here. He does not rally. Here we have a commissar, so we can ignore that. So I need a an 8, 9 for the, actually it would be a 10, because he's in base 8, 1 for the commissar, 1 for the rally terrain, base 10 to rally. All right, so he's back. And this guy needs an 8 to rally. Heat of battle. 6. Now, because you're a Russian, that will be +2. Broken is +1, so for net +3 onto that. 6 makes it a 9 berserk. So not only is he back, our little half squad, but he's also berserk. Now this 467 probably be his target, or else this guy right here. All right, so that's it for the Russian rallies. Let's see what we have for the Germans. Oh yeah, okay. Here we need a 8 and a 9. So 8 and a 9. Welcome back. And that's it for rally phase. Let's go into prep fire phase for the Russians once more. We start from the top and work our way down. So first up will be you. Action die roll. We have a 5. 5 is going to be a fire command. So we have a couple of targets. Let's roll on the table to see what we get. We have a 6. And a 6 fire command will give us fire all firepower at target and least terrain within long range. So we have a crew with a mortar. Yeah, fire all firepower target and least terrain within long range of fire's inherent firepower. So that would be a 2 flat. Now that's ridiculous. I'm going to fire a 4 up 2 instead onto here. I'm going to overrule that dice roll because I don't think it's some smart move. On the other hand, it is a mortar. A crew versus a half squad. They're both worth the same in points. This would be a 4 up 2. This would be a 2 flat. What can the mortar do to me? Probably not much because I'm on the first level, which means it would be a +4 to the results roll, barring a critical. I'll fire at the mortar. Sure, why not? All right, so it's going to be on the 2 for long range, flat. 7 on the 2 is not going to be anything. Yeah. I would have missed with the 4 up as well. All right, and then we do our next one. Again, top to bottom. I usually go left to right. So we have a unit here that, barring panic, will charge. So we're going to roll for that stack. So no panic. And they have fire commands. So we're going to prep fire the units. We're going to put a move command on top of this guy so I don't forget. And we're going to prep fire. Now, our fire command is going to be a 5. 5 on the table gets us all firepower at closest target in the VPO location. Again, we have no VPO, so we can't use that because it's only for moving purposes. So we must fire at the closest known target. So again, we have 1, 2, 3. Location with most known targets. We have a full squad, and a half squad. So it's going to be a toss-up between these two, which ones we fire. Let's fire at the CX one. And we're going to fire a total of 6 firepower. That would be effectively an 8-0. So not we use the Commissar's leadership. So it's going to be 6 up 3 in that location. So it's going to be a 10 on the 6 as no result. All right, and then we go these guys here. Each location gets its own die roll, so the second level floor gets a 8. 8 again is going to be a fire command. So we have 4 for 7 is 6, 2, 8. What are we going to fire at? So we have a 4 on the IFT or the attack table is fire all firepower at closest passenger rider crew. Passenger rider crew with turning, nothing like that with most support weapons. If no PRC, fire at any vehicular. Otherwise, fire inherent firepower at the closest target. So again, a hierarchical list. You start from the first case and you work your way through it until you find something that matches. In this case, we're going to fire inherent firepower at closest target. Now, once more, we have 2 choices because of the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 are both the same proximity. So we look at what's next location with most targets. We have a full squad, so that's going to be the target of our 447 and the 628. So be on the 6 table up 3. So it's going to be no result. And then we do another action roll for the bottom floor. And they have an 8, which is a fire command as well. Their fire command is going to be a 9. Now a 9 gets us all firepower at location with most known targets. From this site, we only have 1 that would be outside range. So this is basically going to be the target again. So it will be on the 2 table up 4 because of the 6+1. So no result. All right, so that's it for the prep fire phase. Now we can go right to the move. Now we only have 2 moves. One is our Berserk unit, which we must do first, and then our unit's off board. So his target is going to be 1, 2, or 3, because there's only 1 stairwell. Okay, so this is going to work out like this. We're going to target the 247. Then I'm going to move to here as part of my move because I have to go to the stairs. So that's going to be 3. I now have 2 in this location. So first things first, let's do defensive fire. I need to make this 8-0 command die roll. All right, so thank Christ he's in command. Whew. All right, so that's going to be 7 doubled as 14. So it will be on the 12th table with a +2. 12 up 2 into that location. 11 on the 12 is going to be nothing. Yeah, nothing. All right, so you first fired. You're going to hold off until he enters your hex before you final protective. Now I do have you. Do I care about a half squad charging these guys? I don't think I do. I think I want to save my firepower for this. All right, so now you guys will enter this hex. Need a level behind. Which means you're going to final fire. So that's going to be 7. Tripled is 21. Halved would be 10 and change. So it's going to be on the 8 table down 2. Up to, excuse me. So it's going to be a 9 on the 8, which is a PTC, so he's not going to be any result. So I guess we are going to be fighting out. All right, so that's it for... Oh, no, we got our tanks off board. All right, so they're in motion, and they're in convoy, so they have an automatic move command. Let's see what that might be. So here we have an 11. 11 on our Sassel charts for vehicle movement. If no known target exists, see move command 7. Move towards nearest friendly controlled VPO. Stay on road if applicable. So because we're using blocks as VPO for movement, then we have to use that as our target. So right now, this is the only one that's really in control. Well, I guess I do control this. So it's a toss-up between one of these two. Now they have to move as a platoon, so I'm going to move them towards the north. So using impulse, 15, 16, 17, stop for 18. So we are at 18 movement points, and our move is done. So let's go defensive fire. I do want to break you, so let's fire. Let's do this 9-1 command die roll. All right, so he's in command. Anybody within 2, therefore, is also in command, which means this 4, 6, 7 and this 8, 1 can fire on this unit here. So that's going to be a total of 6 firepower up to. All right. Ready to fire on the LMG. 4 on the 6 is going to be a 2 check. Conscript squad. So they are reduced to half. And DM'd. All right, so I have an AP of 7, I believe. Yes. Armor piercing of 7. But I don't think I can see it. To there. I think I'm going to clip the tree, so I'm not going to risk the shot. Although if I do, that would determine whether or not I got AP. What about here? So it'd be 8 hexes away, would be a base 9 to hit. With +2 for just moving into line of sight. So that would be a 7 or less to hit. I'll try it. Oop, that's not what I want to do. Crap. All right, so I'm in the trees. Alrighty then. So I did say I was going to shoot AP, so I must make my roll. I do not have AP. All right, so no AP for you. Well, that kind of shucks. I need my ATRs to move up to here to deal with it. Other defensive fire, I have you, so let's go 24 up 2 into this location. So it's going to be a 9 on the 24. 9 on the 24 gets us a 2 morale check. So we have a commissar. He's fine. We have a wounded leader, so he's an 8. Up 1 would be 9. Down 2 would be a 7 or more, so he is wounded again. No, he's just broken. He's effectively an 8-0. He gets +1 morale for the commissar would be a 9, so he's fine. Oh, but that went down too. So it would be a 7. So yeah, you're broken. And you're fine. All right, no rate of fire, so I'm done with you. Let's go with you. Command Direwolf, so you're good. Buttoned up and acquisition cancel, so we have +3, down 1 for the 2x range is up to, from 8 would be a 6 or less to hit. That is not a hit, but you've acquired twice. What else can I fire? I don't want to fire that too much. I do have you guys. 1, 2, 3. I could have fired 24 up 1 into this location, but I'm not going to. All right, so that's it for defensive fire. Let's go to advancing fire. So we have you. Let's do the berserk unit first. So that's tripled in half. So 6 halved would be on the 2 table. Up 3. Nothing. And then we have, that should have been stuck back there. And then we have you are going to fire your 4 firepower turret. Halved would be on the 2 up 2. So 6 on the 2 should be a pinning, which he's not. And then we'll fire the main gun, same location. Again, ridiculous amounts to hit, so we're just going to get acquisition. All right, you're going to fire on F1. Yep, you can make it. So again, you're going to be a 2 firepower up 2. And then the main armament. All right, and you have no target. So that's it for move. This is a 6, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I think I forgot the roll for that action. All right, so let's go to route phase. What's broken? So you're staying. You don't really have a choice. You got to stay where you are. All right, so that's it for route phase. Let me go advance. So now we're in close combat. And we have other advances. Do we want to advance into the rubble? I think we do. Pick up the heavy, get it rocking again. Commissar stay with you. I'm going to move the acquisition with you guys. All right, so what do we have here? We have a stairwell, so you're going to come down. You'll stay there. You'll come down. What are you, 628? Yeah, you'll go down one level. You're not on the stairwell. Never mind. All the way over there, eh? All right, so you're gonna come over to this location. All right, so that's it for advanced phase. Now we finally have some close combat. So we have ambush terrain. So what do we need? Berserk +1. We have no leadership, so we have a +1 for ambush for the Russian. All right, so Russian ambush roll is a 4, and the German is a 4 as well, so there's no ambush. Now we're going to be attacking at 2 to 5. 2 to 5 odds will give us a 1 to 4, and a 5 to 2 would be at 2 to 1. So we need a 3 for the Russian and a 7 for the German. So 3 for the Russian and 7 for the, so we killed it. Alrighty, get rid of all the in commands. And that is the Russian turn. Oh, I forgot to do spreading fire again. Left +2 would be good. Center, right. So we have 2 flames appearing in here and here. Which means both of those locations are going to be activated. So you here first. Nope. -1, minus -1 +2, so you're a dummy, and then you. You're also -1 +2, so you're a dummy as well. We do have some flame spread finally, but you get the general idea. Basically, the concept is in the Russian turn, you start from the north, you work away south, row by row, conducting actions as you go. Mark with a move counter those that are going to move, and you mark with prep fire those that are going to fire. If you're in the defensive fire phase, you must again make action die rolls as required, and it's strictly for panic purposes. Don't worry about whether or not you move or shoot. It's just as long as you don't panic, you're going to shoot in the defensive fire phase. Be aware of the different tables again based on what you have. So you have infantry weapons versus infantry. You have anti-tank weapons versus vehicles, ordnance versus vehicles, ordnance versus infantry. Again, priority typically is ordnance will always fire vehicle first and then infantry. And then there's also the different movement attitudes, hold, advance, as well as vehicle. All right, so there's a lot of charts you have to consult in Solitaire ASL. So there we have enemy actions. Like I said, just remember the sequence, work from north to south, left to right, or whatever method that you use, as long as you're consistent. Do not be afraid to overrule the tables if you think it would be a stupid move on the enemy's part. Remember the limitations of using those hierarchical lists. And just remember those lists in general, but you have to go through from first to last case until you find something that fits the bill. At that point, you can carry out that action, whether it's shooting or moving, what have you. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you should always take the give the enemy the best chance that you can. With the ability to only activate certain amounts of suspects, you definitely have the advantage as a human player, and the system really needs your help sometimes. So I'm not at all averse to overruling whatever die rolls show up. If it's in the best interest of the unit, then do it. So next up, I think that pretty well covers most of the enemy AI. Um, I'm not sure if I should go into the different companies because again, that's you can read that up on that and pick whatever you want. But I think that's going to be it for the Chapter S rules. There's some automatic actions and such that it would happen, but again, typically it's based on a random event, which may force you to go into the book and look at what might actually happen. If you think I've missed something and you want to see it covered, by all means, comment down below and I will try and address it. Failing that, I just recommend watching watch when I stream live my solitaire. I'm going to be doing a Red Factories mashup of Red Barricades and Red October. I'm going to try and do it solo, solitaire ASL, and it's going to be at least 30 days worth of action. We'll see how that goes. So if you want to know in depth how solitaire works and all this intrigues you, then by all means stop by my stream and watch it. I'll also post the video on my channel, so you'll be able to see it there. Yeah, let me know if there's anything else I need to cover. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.